We are excited to break the news to you that the global version of Love Live School Idol Festival 2 is launching soon in February 2024. However, we also want to inform you that the global version will close its doors on May 31st, 2024 and cease in-app purchases accordingly. We appreciate the love and support you've shown, and we're committed to making these last few months an unforgettable experience. This is a real tweet from the official Love Live 2 Twitter account. What a time to be alive. Love Live School Idol Festival 2, a rhythm game with gacha elements, had launched globally on February 1st of this year. However, in a baffling turn of events, the development team has decided to announce the launch and termination of the global port in the same post, making its launch duration a measly 4 months before the game shuts down. So, given that this is one of the most bizarre cases in gacha gaming I've seen, let's play it. Now, if you are a keen observer, you can see that this video released on May 31st at Universal Time 6 AM, which would have been the exact time and date that this game terminated its service globally. That's right, this video is thinly disguised as the second volume in the series I like to call End of Service, where we do a quick review of a gacha game that had its services terminated, analyze if it was any good, and why it was shut down. As you might imagine from the premise of this Twitter post, today's story is a weird one. Let's start from the beginning. What is Love Live? Well, Love Live originated as a multimedia project in 2010. This basically means an intellectual property that's allowed to branch to any kind of media, such as anime, games, music albums, live shows, and so on. There was a 13-episode anime series made in 2013 and a sequel second season the following year. The basic premise of Love Live School Idol project involves 9 girls at an academy attempting to form an idol group to prevent the school from closing, and also competing in the Love Live tournament, a competition to determine the best high school idol group in Japan. The story is, well, not really widely known for its genre. The series mainly just appeals to the simulation of idol groups. In other words, you're consuming it for the music. Despite this, because the franchise has had an enormous catalog of songs built up at this point, even if you've never heard of the franchise or consumed any Love Live media, it's possible that you've already been exposed to a few of their tracks at this point. The first installment of the gacha game, sharing almost the same name, whereas it's called School Idol Festival instead of Project, first launched in 2013 as well, featuring all the songs from the series and a gameplay loop where you tap the icons in sync with the rhythm. The second game that we know has the gameplay loop mostly intact, with some minor additions like a more responsive UI and a chat system with the idols. The first Love Live game had a runtime of around 10 years, before the devs wanted to switch over to the sequel in 2023. Luckily, they did give the chance to port everyone's progress over via a transfer code. The Japanese version of Love Live 2 had a runtime of only 1 year, as it launched early last year and had its services terminated by this year, April 1st. Now, a global port has been requested for a while now, and in a bizarre twist, since the termination of the Japanese servers was announced in January, they still released a global version for 4 months. We will leave the analysis portion to the second half of the video, but for the time being, let's see what Love Live School Idol Festival 2 is all about. You basically assume the role of a member of the newspaper club and interview one of these school idol groups. You can pick from any of the 4 iconic groups to interview, and you keep in contact with them via a phone messaging system. Now look, these games really aren't made for the story. You're just there for the music and the rhythm game elements. The characters have marginal live 2D animation, and I feel like the sprite arc looks a little bit plain, but hey, since the series has always done that style, I guess it's fine. I also did try one of the events, and to my surprise, it was actually fully voiced and translated, though I'm pretty sure it's just a carbon copy of what JP's release had. But hey, I can appreciate the effort when I see it. Now, believe it or not, I'm no stranger to rhythm games. I have over 100 hours on Mustache, another combined 100 hours or so on DJ Max and Easy 2on. In fact, the intro for my videos are mimicking one of the menu UIs, though I did make the handwriting animation by myself. Now, I mostly play these 4 or 6 key rhythm games on PC, and I would consider myself as an intermediate. It's one of those genres of games where you have to consistently grind every day to improve. I know the footage may look pretty impressive if you never played a rhythm game, but I'll just say this. The rhythm game rabbit hole goes pretty deep. For these games on a mobile device though, this was new to me. I tried downloading it on an emulator though, obviously there's no way you can play it with a keyboard and mouse, since, pretty self-explanatory. So most of the footage was gathered on my phone. And I gotta admit, I tried finicking around with the delays and speed, but I don't think I'm ever getting used to these controls. Something about the timings just feel a little bit off for me. Maybe it's the latency on the phone. For the record, if you're gonna play a rhythm game on a touchpad device, please do it on a tablet or iPad. So you might be wondering, how the hell does a gacha system work in a rhythm game? Well, when you enter a stage, you have to form a team of idols that will appear as the icons during that level. You're actually just not allowed to play unless all the slots are filled, but they do give you a baseline roster if you didn't bother pulling on the gacha at all. Each song you play belongs to one of 3 affinities: cool, smile, and pure, with each unit specializing in one of each type. You're encouraged to take a roster of units matching the affinity of the song to score more points. While I would love to share some gameplay footage of the tracks playing, all of them were copyrighted, so I'll just mute it, or just show some alternative footage. The collection that was available in this game is actually pretty impressive. Throughout the runtime of Love Live Media, this game contains over 500 songs for you to choose from, with no paywalls or unlocking required. You just get access to everything right from when you install. You can also level each character, which just increases the amount of affinity points scored, and there's a skill that can be level 2. When you reach the maximum level cap, you can limit break them further to level 100, unlocking an additional illustration with Live 2D. You can limit break with a currency called glow sticks, which you get by pulling duplicates of characters. There's no duplicate system in the game, by the way, so only pulling one copy is enough, though I really don't know how they can implement a duplicate system in a game like this. Characters are mainly just there for cosmetic purposes. I mean, DJ Max has a seasonal battle pass, except I'm just there to play a rhythm game. So as long as you don't prevent me from doing that, the gacha really just exists for show. Whenever you select a stage, you use up a time-gated resource called LP, taking up 10 to upwards of 25 points whenever a stage is cleared and scoring is calculated. So you're actually limited to the amount of times you can play per session. Luckily, if you quit or restart a level, LP is not taken away. If you level up, then all of it will be restored. You can even rehearse and play any level without scoring it, and it does not cost anything. Let's talk about the gacha then. Since I'm making this video about 1 week before the game terminates, it's pretty generous with the amount of rewards given out. In addition, there is a banner for each of the idol groups with increased rates. The rarities are split into R, SR, and UR for whatever reason. On these 4 banners, there is a 5% chance to draw a UR unit, but on the standard banner types, the chance is down to 3%. So as you might imagine, the rate-up chance for the on-banner character should be 1.5% then, right? It should be a 50-50 coin flip like almost every other system out there. But no, it's 0.7%. Yep, low rate-up chance, expensive top-up packs, that's a Japanese gacha game, alright? Luckily, I don't see too much point of pulling except for your favorites, since, this is a rhythm game and unless you're absolutely min-maxing scores, your roster doesn't matter to you that much. Here's something else I found that irks me. There is no account system in this game. You use transfer codes instead. You basically have to issue one, then use it whenever transferring your account information to another device. So in short, there is no crossplay available. You can't seamlessly play on your phone and then a tablet without issuing a code first. This is 2024. I don't understand why we're still using transfer codes. I don't know what it is about these Japanese gacha games that they still do this, because it honestly just makes for a poor player experience. If that wasn't enough, here's one more. You would expect that if the development team is announcing the end of service of a game months in advance, what they usually do is disabling the in-app purchases, since it doesn't make too much sense to let people buy stuff where they just can't use the product. Not here though. I'm recording this about a week away from termination, except the cash shop is still open, and it will actually try to charge me if I bought something. This is pretty slimy. And oh, a cherry on top, if you buy the $1 paid gems pack, you're actually just short of being able to afford 1 paid gems pull. Yikes. Okay, let's start with the analysis portion. What might have caused the development team to cut their losses so soon? From any perspective, it just doesn't make too much sense to make a post like this. Given the nature, it also doesn't make sense to enable app purchases if the game is just gonna be put under in 4 months. Why even let customers waste their money on something that can't be used anymore? Is it because of money? Well, yeah, actually, I think that's it. Now, I know my audience in rhythm games probably have very little overlap, but the scene for these mobile rhythm games is actually pretty competitive. Not to mention that Love Live is not the only one tapping into the theme of idols. There is D4DJ, which is where this meme came from, Bandori, and even male-oriented idol-themed ones like Ensemble Stars. You can probably make an entire video diving into this topic, but in a world where the cultural significance of all these games have already taken root, it's pretty difficult to get a foothold if you're not doing something too different to stand out. Something I do want to point out is that the original Love Live gacha game did have a runtime of almost a decade, which is pretty impressive. Most gachas don't last that long before end of service. It's still a bit in the clouds as to why they decided to shut down the first game and launching a second version, as there actually just wasn't that many improvements upon the first. Mainly just quality of life improvements and optimizations here and there. The financials for the game must not have looked good, since looking back on December 2023's Sensor Tower revenue reports, Love Live didn't even register in the charts. Earlier that year, a global version for Love Live 2 was announced, except in December they said that the release window will be delayed until February of 2024. It certainly didn't bode well for global players when the Japanese version announced in January that it will be terminating by the end of March. People were now pretty skeptical that a global version will be releasing at all. But what do you know? Because here is that faded tweet. People speculated that since they would have already paid a localization team to port it to the global market, they might as well spend some extra real estate to keep the servers running for a few months to recuperate their losses. But again, this whole thing just screams cash grab to me. Any reputable gacha development team wouldn't keep the cash shop open after the game's termination is announced. Well, they really knocked it out of the park this time. Anyways, I wanted to cover this story as this announcement is honestly one of the most hilarious ones I've seen. I can't exactly say I feel bad for the development team, but hey, it just goes to show how bizarre the gacha industry can be sometimes. And in my opinion, marks this game as the greediest cash grab of 2024 so far. I hope you enjoyed the second volume of the series known as End of Service, that I totally did not try to sell off as clickbait. The next game on my radar isn't going to be until July, but just in case if you're curious, the game in question is called World Flipper. It is a pinball gacha game with its global release terminating this summer. So if you want to see what it's all about, then you better get on it. Alright, that's it for today's video. If you wish to see gacha reviews and other outlandish stories in the gacha space, you know what to do. Thank you for watching, and have fun out there.